Welcome back to the green room. Well, Russell, you were talking about this. That's another whole section on land, foreigners, capital gains. They really went there. I wonder whether Hosking maybe had a point there. I mean, especially with you guys, you're going to raise farmers' costs by making them not tip shit in the river. And there's going to be a capital gains tax, and they're not going to be able to sell their farm for the capital gain, which, if you listen to people like John Wally, is actually the only money in real money in farming. Are we going to kill the golden goose here?
Well, I mean, it's about looking forward. I mean, I actually agree with Cunliffe on this one. The point he was making was right, is that if we go down this path of saying the global market for New Zealand land will set the price in New Zealand, then we'll be priced out. I mean, there's no way that a Kiwi family trying to get into farming can compete. There just isn't. And New Zealand land, food-producing land all around the world is incredibly valuable, only becoming more valuable. Unless we say, actually, we're going to stop the overseas market, then we won't be able to compete for the land.
So even if that means stepping on the... There was a motorbike. Even if that means stepping on the freedom of a farm owner who wants to sell out, go into retirement, he's not going to get the price he was going to get. There's a basic right there. It's his property. He should be able to sell it.
Well, you should be able to sell, sure, but property rights are unlimited. You can't build a nuclear power plant on your property. It's my property. I got a nuclear power plant. So
probably under an Act government.
well, maybe Act, okay. But I mean, except in Epsom, of course. But you can't just say that means we can drive up land prices out of the reach of everyone. There are still New Zealand buyers. It's like the Lochinvar situation. There are still New Zealand buyers. It's just that they're not going to pay as much. That's not a bad thing.
I'm interested, Metiria, in how much of that debate has been taken up with basically this issue. Do people care a lot about this, do you think?
No, I think they do actually, because it's all about sovereignty, about the rights of New Zealanders to be based here in our country, but also permanent residents, people who come here to make a life and being secure that they can. And it's that sense of security that this is a place where people belong, they can put down roots here, they can have their families here, and everybody is secure in that. Doing well, but not being greedy, is actually part of our kind of New Zealand way of life. So I do think it is an important part of the debate, and it's really good that it's actually taking up quite a bit of the space.
And I would say it was great that Labor's now adopted the other. They adopted our capital gains tax policy, and now they've also adopted our policy in terms of constraints on offshore ownership of land and housing, which is, I think, good.
You snorted during that. Do we need to do a fact check on what the Prime Minister said about restrictions on the sale and purchase of urban land?
He seemed to be suggesting, and maybe he just misspoke, that you couldn't purchase urban land, housing, unless the Overseas Investment Office approved it. That's not true. You can. And the problem is we don't know really how much of the urban housing is being bought from offshore. We've got a rough idea, but we don't really know. And based on what's going on in other markets around the world where they do keep track of it, it's big.
Is there anything else on that topic that we haven't covered and they haven't covered? What's in your policy?
I mean, I've spent a lot of time in rural areas talking with families there, with farming families. They are increasingly concerned about being able to stay on their family land, being able to make sure their kids can take it, as part of their generational security, if you like, intergenerational security, and increasingly constrained by other things like the lack of proper schooling, the lack of proper infrastructure, the kind of destruction of the rural life that we've seen over the last 10 years, actually.
We're going to have to wrap now, and we'll see you after this one.